Just a friendly reminder that the opinions expressed on this show are not worth a Canadian penny, so disregard anything you hear that might get anyone in trouble. And despite some of the great ideas you may hear, don't try them at home. Go to a friend's house instead.
It's time to get a gun. That's what I've been thinking. Well, I could afford one. And if I did just a little less drinking, time to put something between me and the sun. When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 353 for May 7th, 2020. I am one of your hosts, Trevor.
I'm another one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm another one of your hosts, Adriel.
I'm another one of your hosts, Dave, who doesn't have the show notes open yet.
That's okay. You're right on time.
Yeah, you did it perfectly. So. All right, let's get into what we did this week in guns, which is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. This week, they're pimping the CSC Ruger 1022 with a 9-inch barrel. This thing is redonkulous.
What?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So,
How many they got?
Our in-house Calgary Shooting Center gunsmith has assembled a Ruger 1022 takedown Magpul black backpacker rifle with adaptive tactical tack hammer 9-inch barrel rail combo. The rail is as long as the barrel. This thing is amazing. So it's takedown, it's Magpul takedown. It's assembled at the Calgary Shooting Center. It's the only place where you can get it. They're building it in-house, 9-inch barrel.
Hey, Trevor, let me share the screen for a second. I want to show people what this thing looks like because
absolutely.
You really need to see it to appreciate it.
It's space.
Look how small it is.
This is right off of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
How light would that be?
Man, if I get this, someone needs to invent silence for me to shoot. Otherwise, it's all for naught. So yeah, head over to the Calgary Shooting Center. Check that out. There's also a link to it on the Gun Owners of Canada's Calgary Shooting Center section. So, Yep. And what are we talking price-wise? $1,000. $1,000 you get a custom-made backpacker in-house at the Calgary Shooting Center. So,
Look at how the barrel looks when you put it in the stock. The normal one, the barrel like sticks way out. This thing is just like boop. That's the sound it makes. Yeah.
Boop.
Yeah.
boop.
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 Says boop.
I said it. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Then it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into what we did then, and I'm going to get us started because I'm a few weeks late. The last time I wanted to talk about this rifle, it wasn't banned or prohibited. Here's the AR-15 I built, everyone. That's now on house arrest. So I built it off of my STI lower, and it has a JP Industries trigger. It has bad lever.
Like a nice trigger?
Yeah,
Nice
it's a JP single stage match grade trigger. It actually came with the rifle when it was an STI AR.
Yep.
This went through. It started off factory bone stock STI AR. Sold the barrel to McClatchy, and I put on a Stag 3G 18-inch barrel and Samson handguard, and then I had the SLR in 223 and the Modern Sporter in 223. All kind of set up for 3-gun, and then I was like, all right, well, I'll need this AR, and the AR is restricted, so I'll just take my non-restricteds to matches. So I said, I'll turn this back into a duty style AR, something for a red dot and something I would take to a course or service conditions, that style of shooting, right? It has a flash hider. It doesn't have a muzzle brake. I know that upsets you, Adriel, and I just put this Crossfire 2 red dot on it. Like the second the show started, I was tightening the screw when we went live.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, it came in today. I brought it home from DC Armory. It has something on here that I've not seen before on other Crossfires. It goes from 0 to N1, N2, and then it goes 3, 4. What's this N1, N2? Is this like a night vision thing?
Yeah, it's for night vision.
Well, isn't that fancy?
Yeah, you need to get
very useless unless you put a night vision on there. My Spark has those, so sometimes You turn it on, you're like, why? I can't see anything. It's not on, but it is on. It's just on night vision settings. And if it was totally dark, you could see it.
Interesting. So I also took that to the range before the ban. I took a drive down. Yeah, screw your social distancing and all that bullshit quarantine stuff that no one around here is following anyway. We were zero
You guys
cases.
don't have cases. Who cares?
Yeah, we got 2. I thought our borders were closed. 2 assholes went to Alberta and came home with COVID. Anyway, they did the right thing. They immediately went in self-isolation, didn't go near anybody. They got symptoms. They got tested. So it's not going to spread. Like, I mean, they left the province for work. You know, people got to work, whatever the circumstances. I don't know, but they handled it correctly when they got home. So that's cool. But
So,
yeah.
question, have they tested anyone else in the province? Is it just they haven't tested anyone and that's why you have no cases?
Yeah, you know how North Korea announces a case at 9:15 and at 9:30 they announce there's no more cases?
I just throw them in the ocean.
Anyway, what else did I do? Oh, when I was down at Filthy's Range, I took my 22-250 because when we first went into lockdown, I went on a reloading marathon. God, that seems like so long ago. Has it been 6 weeks? Anyway, I don't know. We haven't done a COVID cast in a while either. So I took my 22-250. I had a bunch of rounds to test, and I found the most accurate one in that using benchmark powder, shot an inch, maybe a little bit better with a Spear 52 grain bullet, and then shot all the other test loads just for the purpose of fire-forming brass. So I think I brought home 100 pieces of fire-formed 22-250 brass. So I got to get that loaded up for that gun. And I'm back to work at the gunsmith because screw quarantine, call the Gestapo. I don't care. If you do, you're the same kind of person that would have ratted out Anne Frank. So actually, it's all legit because we're allowed to trade off in New Brunswick now. They've eased up some of the quarantine restrictions. You're allowed to, I'll go to Adriel's house. Adriel's allowed to come to my house. I mean, I'm sure it's being abused because it's not like you're registering the family that you're trading off with. But anyway, you're allowed to go to one person's house and they're allowed to go to your house. So the house I'm allowed to go to is Denise. So I go work at the gunsmith again. I've been there a couple days this week and I'm going back tomorrow. Other Trevor's guns are being refinished after the house fire. So there's some Cerakote going on, assembly and disassembly. And I bought a 12 gauge because they're not banned. You can try and twist the interpretation to plead your case and be, upset all you want, but it is what it is. They're not banned, and I don't care how good you are using calipers. They're not coming for your duck gun. Calm down. So
do you know why people are trying to make that case?
I do know why. They want to piss off the duck hunters. They want to get the FUDs riled up and get them into the fight. And there's nothing wrong with that. But stop the rhetoric and the lies. Stop trying to make
what's the legally defined definition of
I'm not having this argument with you guys. I know. Legal opinions from Burlew are not law. Tweets from that asshole are not law. I get all that. I know, and it's not about the intent in this stuff. I don't give a shit. They're not coming for your duck gun. Not yet, anyway. Nah, so celebrate.
Not yet, anyway.
I bought them. I bought a Mossberg 590. I thought it was a 500. We showcased it on the show. I don't know when exactly. It's called Retro Grade. I compared it to the classic vintage 870 Wingmaster police clone that I built. It looks like that old school police shotgun. Mm-hmm. This is like the Mossberg version of that, but it's built on the 590. So cool. That should be here early next week. Yeah. I'll be sure to take it out in the woods and do some shooting with it and post it on social media so that I can listen to gun owners complain some more. Because, man, they like to do that a lot. So, more on that later during Adriel's gun ban, gun myth busting segment.
Rantothon.
Yeah, rantothon about myths and stuff. Anyway, Adriel, take it away. What have you been up to?
I went shooting. I went and shot my M1 Garand because I made a whole bunch of reloads according to, I think Tim posted a recipe and I'd seen that one as well. And I was like, yeah, I'll make some of those. Made them. Shot great. Just ate it up and shot some steel out and at right around 2 or 300 yards. So that was good. What else did I do? Shot the WK and some cross mags. That was fun too. I just wanted to test out those. They worked fine. Didn't no failures or anything like that. Not that there would be. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to do. And then I shot some gophers. So all good fun and good little outing. And I got sick to my stomach, and I was like, "Oh man, I got the coronavirus," because like that's one of the symptoms is like being sick to your stomach. But
plus having a 12 gauge, I hear that gives you coronavirus as well. If the 5G doesn't, the 12 gauge will.
It's Corona beer, moron.
Yeah,
Corona beer gives you coronavirus.
Only if you're American.
Oh man, it's actually a thing.
Okay.
Their sales went down.
Yep.
So.
But did their sales go down because people are actually concerned they get the coronavirus? Like my friends go, Americans are stupid. Or was it people don't want to be at a bar going, yeah, give me a Corona, man? I mean, I would.
It was before everything was shut down.
No, legit. People stopped drinking Corona because of, because people are dumb.
Just the name.
Mm-hmm.
The same ones that were going to inject themselves with Lysol because the president said to. Or drink
I think that's just good policy.
It is great policy.
Yeah, I think so too. More people should do that. As a matter, everybody should do that, and I'll just go around and collect all the guns afterwards and have fun.
Not just that's a cure for unemployment right there. You know.
This is why Trevor is not allowed to work for the government.
But Trump is.
Apparently, I'm overeducated for the government. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, your unemployment office is just a deep basement with a drain in the floor. So,
Dave, did I tell you about my stupid sign theory?
No. What is your stupid sign theory?
It's not theory, actually. It's a program, and it's actually not mine. It's my buddy Paul's. Paul said that if we could conduct interviews and then give people who are stupid a sign that says "I'm stupid," global productivity would go through the roof because you would never entrust these people with anything. You'd be like out in public, or you'd be working, and you'd be like, "Excuse me, could I get you to?" Oh, no, sorry, I didn't see your sign. Sorry, no, you carry on. No, it's fine. Go back to drooling on yourself. You're fine, right? If all the stupid people could identify themselves as stupid with a sign that says "stupid," just think of how much
there's signs,
right?
There's
also T-shirts that says "I'm with stupid."
Yeah, I know. They're not mandatory, Kelly.
Ask them about the chemtrails. Ask them about 5G, and if they go on a rant, you've got your T-shirt.
It takes time, though. You have to engage this person in conversation. If they're just wearing the sign, you don't.
I have a headache.
I like that. I like the conversation.
I love pass an OIC. You could pass an OIC and just make it mandatory. Why not?
Now you're talking. That's how you do these things.
No, you're not even taking people stuff. You're giving them stuff. I like it.
Mandatory vaccines.
How dare you?
Do
I have
it.
the right to say no.
Please see
Apparently
Trevor's
you don't.
That's true, Kelly. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. What? When there's a vaccine for this, it's going to be mandatory?
No, they're
No.
talking about it.
No,
Oh,
they won't
God.
make it.
No, they're not going to. No,
They'll just pass. They'll just pass an OIC.
All right. All right. Back to guns. Dave,
We're gonna run things.
save us from
So
ourselves.
you are. I'm not saving. I'm
Save you.
No.
No, I'm going to dig up, stupid.
It's not my job, bitch.
Nice AR.
Thank you. Other than
Adriel,
I've
how you
got a-
doing?
Oh, look at
I've
that
got to,
handguard.
I know, isn't that pretty? That's a Maple Ridge Armory.
Those are gorgeous. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
had one like that.
It's so nice, and the gun is so freaking light, and it's got an IBI 18-inch stainless steel on it that I got when Ryan was having a sale just before Christmas. I picked that up.
I can't
So I
wait
finished
I can't wait
this.
to shoot it.
Wouldn't that be nice if only we lived in a country where you could actually shoot the goddamn things now?
All in
So-
good time.
I know. Give it time. I will wait. I will wait for it. But yeah, beautiful gun. I did build it on an NEA. So other than that, but this is an NEA lower and upper that actually seemed to work. Well, I don't know if the
That's too
upper
bad.
works. It should. It's an
Neat.
upper.
Yeah.
The lower works fine after NEA fixed it for me finally. And then I threw a handguard on it that's worth more than the rest of the gun probably.
Yeah. True story.
It's because I'm a dick like that. So yeah, it's like super, super sweet. I mean, the gun's so light, and the this foregrip is freaking awesome. I love
yeah.
it. This
That's
is
the
like my
V1.
favorite thing ever.
V1
The
or
V1.
whatever. The
Yeah,
17-inch
it's
is
so
actually longer
tight.
than their previous 15-inch.
Well, they had them on. I went into their store in Barrie, which is a
no
lovely
way.
place. So if you guys are anywhere near Barrie or anywhere in southern Ontario, get your ass in your car. And once you can, drive your ass up there and go visit the guys at the store or buy their stuff online because they make their stuff here. And it's so nice. So they had a scratch and dent sale. I wanted one of their handguards. They had a scratch and dent sale. So it was $100 off because it's missing a little bit of the bluing or the anodizing right along here, which it's going to get scratched up when I throw it into a barrel or huck it over a pile of rocks or
Exactly.
drop it doing a rundown or something.
Yep.
So this was going to be my precision rifle for this year because I shoot precision rifle sniper matches for the ORA, and I shoot them with an AR-15. And myself and Brian Bolivar are actually the national champions with in the designated marksman class in precision rifle because we're the only ones who shoot precision rifle with AR-15s, and we have no pride. So yeah, so this was going to be my precision. I'll take what I can get, man. I'm not a very good shooter, so this is this was going to be my precision rifle for this year, which is why it's the 18-inch stainless barrel, and now it is going to be sitting in my safe with me taking it out occasionally and doing this with it and stuff. So yeah.
It's beautiful.
And if anybody from the RCMP is listening, I sold this upper. This is actually just a photo of it. I sold it on April 30th.
I promise you they're listening.
Oh, I guarantee they're listening, yeah. So that upper is actually sold, so don't worry about it. Ignore everything I said. What else did I do? Like everyone else, I dealt with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of texts and emails and phone calls and all sorts of stuff.
I hope you dealt with them better than I did.
Yeah, I still care. I mean, I'm exhausted, and I was having a chat with a friend today because I joined the Conservative Party last night, which hurts me deeply because I don't really particularly like the Conservatives, and I don't like the Liberals. I'm like Adriel. I don't like anybody.
You don't like anybody.
No, I don't like anybody. I don't trust politicians. They're all scum.
Yep.
But the only ones who aren't actively working against us right now is the Conservatives. That's it. Mm-hmm. So the Liberals have driven me into buying a Conservative membership. So thanks a lot, jerks. Hate you guys.
Conservatives right now are thanking the Liberals, by the way.
Yeah, I would think so. So I dealt with that and got a crap ton of people sent out the petition, and if you haven't signed it, go find the petition, go sign it. I can't remember the number right now.
Yeah, because all the other ones we signed work so well.
Well, do this or do nothing, right? So at least we're showing them that
the same thing. What have we?
It's fine. There's not a lot there. So legal action, non-compliance, petitions. The petitions at least say that the government is doing something that a lot of people disagree with. Because I think most people don't know.
I get it, but nobody cares. The government does what they want anyway.
Government does what they want.
And the people who don't own guns don't give a shit about us.
Well, when you're arguing with someone, you can say, yeah, the Liberal government ignored 2 of the most signed petitions against this action.
Yep. Right. And they go, really? That's interesting.
It's 2.
And they go back to ordering.
I didn't know that there were that many people who liked AR-15s in Canada. Yeah, there's a ton of us. There are a ton of people who enjoy
and
using their AR-15s.
This time around, a lot of my friends who don't care about AR-15s and would be perfectly happy to see them all gone, they're signing it because order in council. And they are pissed that the government that effectively has a majority because the NDP is on their side anyway, went, democracy is inconvenient. We're not big on that. So we're just going to ram this through in an undemocratic manner that's meant, change.
This is the same government that had a Liberal majority and could have rammed it through the last election. And they had to wait until this time. They really care about people of Canada. Yeah, right. Whatever.
It was during the pandemic after a mass shooting. Greasy as greasy can be.
Oh, yeah, terrible. And then stand up there and go, oh, that's just a coincidence. I'm like, that's just a coincidence. Like it's a coincidence that it rains once there's clouds in the sky.
Exactly.
Wow. Amazing. I have no words to express how much I dislike people that do crap like that. Anyway, yeah.
Want to hear some of the words I have?
No.
No,
I think that Adriel
should have put I didn't mute our last show. There was too many. I'm like, nope, throw it in the towel, posting it as is. And
we had some people. We had some feedback from those that were listening to the post OIC microcast. It was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have been listening with my kids. No kidding.
Now they'll hear those words eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But
we're in grade school.
We're not that show. We're the show that you can listen to with your kids in the room, you know. Yeah. So I know I went
except
overboard.
That one.
Yeah, well, this one.
Except that one. Yeah.
They might not want to have the kids in the room at this one either. But yeah. Anyways.
Oh, no, we said fuck yet.
No one.
Like, how do you say that and not expect me to do that? It's like you bait me into it. Like, you know that's going to happen, right? Like, you do realize it.
You're not making work 100%. For Kelly. You're making work for me.
Sorry, man.
Fine words.
Get mad at her. She did it.
Oh no!
Kelly,
I'm responding to people who are saying we're not doing enough. And
why'd you make Trevor swear?
Thank you.
I always make
He's
Trevor
not responsible
swear.
for his own actions. You are.
Right?
I know. Right. I've lost the show. I'm supposed to control all of you.
Attempt.
You can't even control yourself.
Very
Stop
difficult.
It.
Everyone okay
wrong.
with Adriel doing extra work? Please raise your hand.
No. And you don't have to raise your hand to make me do work. You just have to utter one word.
All right. We're not going to utter
only
it
the
anymore.
one word, or should we go through the 7 words you can't say on a podcast?
Oh, that's funny, Dave.
It's only one.
Anyways. Just the one. All right.
Anyways.
Anyway, I had discussions with various groups about what we're going to do about this, and had discussions about how our various events can continue and what we're going to do about that. And yay, all that sort of good fun stuff. And that's about it. Kelly, what you up to?
So didn't build any ARs. Had a couple banned. I know.
Oh, that's too bad.
Did you even get to shoot your new AR, Kelly?
Absolutely, I did.
Okay,
I did a couple of times.
Thank God.
But what I did do was the postman rings twice, I guess. Anyways, I got stuff in the mail, but I got this. Yeah, it's my
nice.
So it's my Just Hunts.
I missed it. Can I see it again?
No, you're gonna have to watch later. Okay,
fine.
There you go. Anyways,
bear strong.
It's bear strong. Yeah,
bears
Just
are
Hunts.
strong. Yeah.
Just hunt bear strong. Yeah, bears will kill you.
Things.
Yes. So, and so Amanda Lynn Mayhew, Just Hunts, Bear Strong. Bear Strong, I took some photos. She asked me to take some photos and post them as well. And it's in support of mental health and also any of the swag that's sold, like this stuff, Just Hunts as well. Any of the stuff that's sold is going towards making masks for those that are working on the front lines as well. So I bought some stuff and took some pictures, Bear Strong. And
how do people find them?
So go to justhunts.com. She has her website, and you can click on the link there and buy some stuff. And it also talks about the Bear Strong as well, how it came about and how it's helping people with mental health and different things like that. So
awesome. Yeah. Well done.
So I also got into, I've been Twittering like you wouldn't believe, and also Facebook sharing and dropping knowledge bombs and trying to make stuff relatable to people. Because guess what? It's not just about guns. It's about OIC and everything. I contacted my MP who has basically ignored me. He was on a live stream. I asked some questions on there. He did talk about him, like he read one of my posts, and he did talk about how AR-15s are not needed because he asked his father-in-law, who's ancient, about whether it's needed for hunting or not. And so
we're done then.
Yeah.
Some guy's father-in-law says we don't need them.
So I made it a point of saying, well, okay, so my AR-15, which is a 223, which is limited to 5 rounds, right? Your father-in-law's hunting rifle is a 308 or whatever, 338, whatever. It's a little bit bigger bullet, and it's a little bit more powerful than my 223, and it is also, limited to 5 rounds. Which one is more safe, do you think? I don't know. Also,
I wish they would get off the hunting kick. There's more to guns than hunting.
I know.
That being said, If you can
I'm gonna
shoot a
support
man with
hunters.
if you can shoot a man with an AR-15, you can shoot a deer with an AR-15. Like the police carry an AR-15, and they're not hunting.
Yep.
They're shooting bad guys with them.
Yep, absolutely.
I've got a buddy of mine who shoots deer with his WK.
Gallon smoked a bear.
I've been talking to
I was-
Gallon too. Oh God. Anyways,
Yeah, he called me
Talking-
the other day. He misses me.
he
Aw.
misses you, and I miss you, and I miss him, and I really.
Everybody, people are getting sappy today. I got two pretty heartfelt messages from some of my fellow New Brunswick gunnies. You know, like times are tough. We're gonna get through this. Thanks for helping. And it's like, it's all good, man. So nobody's going anywhere. It's all good.
Yep.
Nobody, it's all good.
Soon they'll open the borders, and soon. Anyways,
Oh, keep the goddamn borders closed.
thanks a lot.
That's how we got 2 more cases.
Okay, so the next thing that I did was Kingston has decided that it might like to be the first municipal municipal city that would like to do the handgun ban when it's announced soon.
A lot of handgun crime there.
Absolutely
What the hell?
not. Anyways,
Like-
so my local counselor, who I had a little discussion with after the last June, Kingston decided it would like to try and recommend a handgun ban and different things. And I went to the council meeting and talked to my counselor afterwards, and anyways, so I burned him on Twitter quite a bit. Anyways.
I mean, you educated him.
I educated him, but he, so basically I made it a point to make sure that Kingston is not going to be participating in this. Just saying.
Excellent.
And
Well, if you want to, if I can just talk a little bit more about that,
Sure.
I think like one of this is something that you've identified as a risk in your city. I think for our listeners in other cities, if they're even a little bit liberal leaning, you
Yep.
have to talk to your counselors now,
Yep.
because
get involved.
part 2 of this whole thing that the Liberals gun control platform was they're going to ban assault weapons, assault firearms, whatever that's supposed to mean, and they're going to allow municipalities to ban handguns. Now there's going to be some like red tape around that's going to be a pain in the butt for them to figure out. But if and when they figure that out, you do not want your city to ban your handguns, because what you're going to be stuck doing is selling your handgun on the secondary, losing your property because you have to. They're tracked. You can't hide them anywhere.
You're allowed to have a secondary address,
Well, you can move,
or you can store them
you
at somebody's house outside of the city. That is a legit option for people
That's an option.
until you leave the communist city that you live in.
Or you can
Correct.
become a counselor yourself and
Or
basically.
I like the easiest thing for people to do right now is to reach out to their city councilor,
Yes.
make the case. There are 3 different chief of police associations that have recently talked about how a municipal handgun ban will not be effective. You need to use those links. You need to talk to your city councilors, and you need to get them on side. Even in, like, I'm thinking, like, Edmonton's not a safe city. Edmonton, in the grand scheme of Alberta, is called Redmonton, and with the wrong city councilors on, we could pass something like this.
Yeah.
So even in a safe municipality, you need to reach your city councilors, your county people, whatever's going on, because the ramifications of this may be that you will have to move or sell your guns or something else. And
Right.
you're going to be selling into a flooded market. There's going to be a pile of municipalities that ban this and ban handguns. You're going to be selling on to a very depressed market and lose a bunch of money.
Good time to buy guns, though, if your municipality.
Oh,
if your
I am
municipality
freeing up
doesn't,
money because some
absolutely.
people are going to need to sell their handguns.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, so that was that. Project Maple Seed, we're not opening up any events, but what we did do is we put up a new challenge target. So it's called Stay Safe, because everybody's saying that, but it's COVID virus. You can shoot the shit out of it, basically. So if you're able to go to the range, shoot it. If you're not able to, print it off and do some dry fire with it. So I want
Get a pellet gun.
Yeah, or a pellet gun indoors. Yeah, and that's it.
Like, whatever.
Yeah. So we have canceled our May events because of COVID. Stay home. But yeah, we'll give you an update later on that too. But that's about it.
I mean,
really...
the nice thing is that provinces have been rapidly reopening stuff. So it could be that like a province like New Brunswick really should look at, okay, we're only like, as long as we watch really carefully, people are coming into the province.
Yep.
They've got a good handle on this. So I would say that they can start reopening some of these things, and then they may start reopening it shortly, right?
So Ontario, not so much. We're still limited to 5.
Population density is still too high, right?
Yeah. And the other thing, my city councilor actually is the same one who says handguns too bad, is the one that wants to open up the whole entire city so that people can go and do things. I'm going, you're an idiot. Anyways, so, but yeah, Ontario, we're probably going to be a little bit behind people. So it is what it is. Whatever. Oh, and
We're slow.
yeah, and I've been to work for the past 3 days.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, I know. I'm wearing gloves and little masks and everything. Can't work from home. Fantastic. All right, that's it.
All right. Anything in upcoming events someone wants to talk about?
Yep. I want to talk about the 10th, or sorry, not the 10th annual. We probably should. Yeah, anyways. I want to talk about the Ladies' Day event at EOSC, the CCFR Ladies' Range Day that was supposed to be on July 25th. Notice I just said supposed to be. It's been canceled. We came to the decision the past 2 days. So we're going to be canceling it again because we got a plan for this. And if it's canceled, it's canceled. We don't know. So, and right now we figure we're not going to be able to have events with over 50 people because these things usually sell out. And, so we decided to cancel it. Just let you know. All right, that's it.
Okay. You guys talked about cherry shoots canceled.
Yep.
No one has requested a withdrawal. If you request a withdrawal, I'll give you a refund. I think I'm going to refund everybody anyway because there wasn't that many people that registered. So it's not like we would be sending the Rod Harkwell Memorial Fund a huge lump sum of money. I'll go in, I'll get the numbers, and I'll let everybody know next week where we're going with that, whether we're going to donate what little bit has been raised or just go ahead and refund the whole thing. But a decision will be made by next Thursday's show. So if you do want your money back, no one's going to fault you for that. No judgments. Go in, request a withdrawal from the event, and I will process your refund. It's literally just a couple of clicks of a mouse, and the money goes back on your credit card. So yeah, that's it for the okay. So it's not upcoming events, it's upcoming cancellations apparently.
It will soon be upcoming events. This thing can't go forever. Soon enough, the events will stop being canceled and they will be, this event is not canceled. It is proceeding as planned, and it'll be the first of many, right?
We should have our own isolation events by ourselves.
We kind of are.
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
Yeah. Casts. Yeah. Yep. Can I get into news?
Yeah, man.
All right. First bit of news. You should go sign e-petition 2574.
And remember, when you do, check your junk folder, your spam folder, because you're not signed until you complete it by clicking the link in the email they send you. But
correct,
it doesn't come right away, and often it goes to your spam folder. So,
and they had so many people signing at such a high rate that the system was it was backlogged for some people set up to 12 hours.
Yeah.
So they signed the thing, and it took them 12 hours to get them an email that it was done. I don't think that they've had a petition gain this many signatures in such a short period of time, because even the last one that we did about firearms, which was also presented today, it did not grow at this rate. Sorry, yesterday.
Yeah, I mean it was and it wasn't. I mean the last one, you would talk about myths. The last petition wasn't about please don't ban the AR-15. The last petition was don't use an OIC. If you want to try and ban it, do it through the democratic process and debate it on the floor of Parliament. And even that, it was huge. But
and Mott's
maybe they looked at it and thought it was just, look at all these people that want us to use an OIC. We're going to do that.
No, Mott's got up, talked about it, started to get into a bit of a spiel with it. May said, hey, for petitions, you just present it and then you GTFO, and they cut him off.
Wow.
You can watch it if you want.
Yep.
Let's talk about some of the other new developments that have kind of happened since last week. One of them, now, if you would have read the RCMP's page on this, you would have seen something about grandfathering, maybe an option later on. That's been actually pulled down, which is
concerning.
I didn't think grandfathering was going to be a thing, anyways. I think they had that on there by accident.
No, they said that actually it was supposed to be 2 options, and they put it into the OIC, and then they're getting pushback from all kinds of people. And the reason is because if they're that unsafe, right? If they're that unsafe, why are they allowing us to keep them?
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if they're going to let the full auto stay and the all the stuff they banned in the 90s, or whether they're just going to seize all the prohibs.
That would make sense. That's kind of the inconsistency I've come to expect from the government.
Yep.
I wouldn't. I would expect additional inconsistencies because it's not real security. It's security theater. This is the taking your shoes off before going through the airport. It's not real security. It's just to make people feel safe.
Yep.
Shotguns may be prohib. Trevor, you disagree?
You went there.
100%.
Now you disagree because BOR has a legal definition in Canada?
No, I don't give a shit about any of those fancy words. They're not coming after your shotguns. It wasn't written with shotguns in mind. We know what the intent of it was written for. And it was us that went, hey, wait a second, you actually made it so we can't have our shotguns. So, I mean, yeah, of course I don't trust Bill Blair, but, you know, he did come out twice and say, we're not coming for your shotguns.
Well, as Adriel pointed out, Twitter is not a legal recommendation.
No,
but
it's
you're
not.
right. It was an accident. It's just because they're stupid, and it's a stupid law written by stupid people, or people acting stupidly anyway. But it is hilarious because all my duck hunter buddies are like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, "You're fine, but they're going to come for him eventually."
Everything else,
you're fine, but it's like it's also like it's not a gray area, but it's a little bit of a gray area because we've had like if the government just went with the intent, I think that Blaze 47s wouldn't have been prohib. They're not a variant of an AK-47.
No, of course not. It's
but when they take that, and they're like, no, this is an AK-47 that we're dealing with here. You can see that they take that letter of the law very seriously, even misinterpreting it or not misinterpreting it. Using it so black and white as to erase the original intent.
Yep. You know how we keep saying stop talking about things that aren't on the list because you don't want to give them any ideas, as if they don't already know what's not on the list. But we keep saying, would you stop talking about a 5-cent rivet is the difference between you and a prohibited device in your magazine? You know, a lot of the antis don't realize that we actually have 30-round mags that are just pinned with a 5-cent Taiwanese rivet. Stop telling things like that. Gun owners are the ones that started to go, oh my God, they're banning my shotgun. I don't know, man, how I'll feel if they turn around and say, you know what? Screw you. We are banning your shotgun.
Well, I would feel
let sleeping dogs lie.
Fantastic, because the Liberals would lose horribly at the next election. They would lose all of their rural ridings, and our temporary pain would be reversed in an election cycle.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the long game on the part of the gun owners, because I mean, when Christina heard that the possibility of shotguns was being banned, she was like, she lost it. She's like, no, you can't take shotguns away from Canadians. Enough is enough. And with her, she's kind of indifferent to guns. She's tolerated them because of my involvement in the hobby, but she doesn't really give a shit who owns an AR-15 and who doesn't. But when you start talking about using an order in council to take people's property, it got her hackles up.
Yep.
So that means it's getting a lot of everyday Canadian. I'm seeing posts come across my Facebook news feed from non-gun owners complaining about this.
Yep.
It's because of the OIC. And then you go through the comments and it makes you want to vomit, because a lot of them are like, too bad, don't care. They shouldn't have them anyway.
Yep.
Why shouldn't I have them? I just don't think you should.
Why do you need them?
Yeah,
it drives me nuts. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going on. I mean, one of them, the 20 millimeter definition. if you run have you followed that guy the running the shotgun load from hell? He's using like brass hulls to crank up the power on a 12 gauge round. He's well over 10,000 joules. Well over it. Anyways, not applicable. You know what kind of bums me out? Cannons. Like we had these cannon shoots.
We lost
here.
cannons.
We lost cannons. 20 millimeter. How big is a cannon breech? How big is a bore on that thing?
Citadel Hill lights the cannons off every day at noon in Halifax. They can't do that anymore. Your cannons are now prohib. National Historic Site of Canada.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so when I was talking a little bit about the myths, and like the annoying myths to me are people saying like they banned a website, they banned coffee, they banned an airsoft rifle. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
These things are on the FRT. They're banning firearms that are in the FRT as AR-15 variants. Is the database lookup. But what they did ban under this whole guise of like this assault weapons ban is they banned some cannons, they banned some black powder firearms, they banned a semi-automatic 22 that Dave has. They banned a bolt action 308, and these are all being banned as military grade assault weapons. The truth is far more interesting than the myths on this stuff. And then the other myth, and I think we were talking about it earlier, but now that I'm talking about it anyways, and I don't have to clip it, natives aren't allowed to hunt with AR-15s, but they can still hunt with Stag 10s and any of the firearms that used to be non-restricted that are now prohibited.
Right. This is something that I lose my shit on it, because right now you're dividing people, right?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, finish your thought. No,
and I just don't think that.
Then treaty rights have always divided people. Then Kelly, this is a treaty right. This isn't.
Okay, you know what? It is a treaty right, and they were required to actually consider it. But it's also, we got people calling each other names and everything. We're all in this together. Whether you're a status, and by the way, educate yourself, or I can help you educate yourself on this stuff, right? So understand what it is. It's no, I don't get to keep my AR, right? And I'm not going to go hunting with it. Right. But at the same time, we're all in this together. If I can keep my AR-15, which I can because it was not non-restricted, it's restricted. If I had an AR-10, I could go hunting with it. But why am I actually going to be somebody who can keep this, whereas not Trevor, Adriel can't? Am I more safer than Adriel?
Because treaty rights. They have the right to hunt, and if this is the only gun they own, the government can't tell them they're not allowed to use it to hunt. It's black and white.
Oh, I know that. And I actually have told people that too, but I'm also looking at it from another point of view too, right?
Yeah, okay, but the point of view that people think that this is going to divide non-Aboriginals from Aboriginals, it shouldn't, because it's no different than it was. A lot of people may not be aware, but First Nations people do not require a firearms license to own the guns they had on the reservation prior to the change in 95. A lot of people don't know that. They're exempt from that. Can they go buy a new gun? No. Nope. So if they get stopped in the woods during hunting season and they've got a brand new 30-06 across their lap, and the guy says, "Let me see your firearms license," they say, "I don't need one." Sorry, pal, that's a brand new gun. That's last year's model. What are you doing with it? If you got an old 303 or some other gun that was invented before 1995, good to go. But if a First Nations person is hunting and they've got a modern firearm and no PAL, then there's a problem.
Trouble.
So
and I agree.
Canadians don't know that.
This is news to me, and just listening to you like made my eyes glass over with like, oh my, like what the hell? Cop has to know how new a gun is, because the old guns are fine, but the new ones, you need a PAL for that one. What's the difference? What are we even talking about here? Right? If they're hunting, who can
I agree totally with everything that you said, Trevor. But unfortunately, a lot of people aren't educated, and it's causing some issues. That's all. I'm just saying. Like, I'm trying to educate people, right? Anyways, I get
indeed. All right,
panties in a bunch. All right, go ahead.
You guys ready for some like lighthearted stuff? A little bit more lighthearted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm only happy when I'm mad.
Okay. Well, be mad about this then. Wait, you guys see on the right screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I love this title. You guys
What?
see Megan doesn't like it? That's a screen. Okay, good. Megan doesn't like it. Harry sells rifle collection to reportedly please Megan.
Sell Megan.
He had a bunch of custom hunting rifles. He had to sell them.
Brutal.
It makes me laugh. I enjoy this very much. The other piece here is how long has it been since the Nova Scotia shooting? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 3 weeks. I feel
3 weeks. Yeah.
What guns did they use? What happened at the fire station?
Oh,
We're not really getting any information, eh?
What happened at the fire station was a friendly fire incident. The cops shooting at cops.
Correct. What exactly happened there? Oh, we don't know. We don't really know. We know that it must have been a friendly fire situation, but they aren't saying anything. The CBC got some insider information that there was some confusion around officers wearing safety vests, and they heard that the shooter had a safety vest on, and that's why they shot. But really, there's been no other information about that or the firearms used or anything that's either leaked or been officially released on this thing. If they would have taken like 2 days to investigate it and they're like, okay, now we think we understand what's going on, like, cool. 3 weeks, they're delaying on purpose at this point.
You don't think any of this is ever going to come out, right?
I think it will only come out when it is not politically damaging for the RCMP and for the current government.
Even then.
No, it'll come out eventually, but it'll be like on. What's that?
Actually, request.
What would you like to know?
I would like to know what firearms he used. Were they illegal? Were they from the U.S.? They said, "Oh yeah, the firearms that he used are in this ban."
Which ones?
Are these ones that he illegally smuggled in from the U.S.? That would be cool to know.
Yeah,
and it's probably the case. Are you guys counting a firearm that he took off of a cop that he shot? That would be cool.
There you go. That's the one that's in the ban.
That's
he took her
kind of
sidearm.
NA. That's kind of NA on this thing. Like if Trudeau's going to grave stand and immediately after this thing say, whoa, don't worry, we got your back. We're going to put in this ban. I'd like to know if this ban would have stopped any of this. And I know the answer, and it would not have.
Yeah, exactly.
But at this point, they are not releasing it because they're too chicken shit, and the RCMP is just covering this whole thing up.
Well, no, they're not covering anything up. They're just not releasing details of the ongoing investigation. That's not a cover-up.
Because it's politically damaging to their higher ups.
Even if they did, they're going to do the OIC anyway. Even if we had all the details of what guns he used, we know he didn't have a license.
But this would be like an emperor not wearing clothes. Like you'd basically be pantsing Trudeau by saying, that thing that you said, that ban wouldn't have stopped this at all. This close to when he just announced the ban. They got to let it simmer for a little bit, let it sit for a couple of months.
Even if
forget
there wasn't
about this whole thing.
But Adriel, even if there wasn't a ban, we can still say, attention Canada, your gun laws don't work. This guy didn't have a license.
Yeah.
Here's the worst shooting. I'm pretty sure that you're also not allowed to dress up as a cop and play cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he broke a bunch of rules that you're not allowed to break, but the people break rules all the time, regardless of what laws are on the books. And
it would make a difference in the argument that we're not us are having, but that we're having with other people right now. It would make a difference if we're able to say, no, he used this gun and then this gun. He brought them in he drove them over the border. None of these laws would stop this.
Yeah, you would just like to hear it from the RCMP, so then we could use it in our defense, and we'll never hear it from the RCMP.
And they were saying one of these guns was from Canada. Was this a stolen firearm? Was this it was actually the cop's firearm? Yeah. And they're all from the States. Like what kind of messaging are they messing around with to like desperately try to make this thing kind of applicable? And it would make a difference to the argument that we're having today.
It'll make a difference to the argument that is going to be taking place in court. CCFR.
To the court,
no.
like this is all public opinion that we're messing around with right now.
No, I know,
it
but
won't matter in the court whether or not the Nova Scotia, like the Nova Scotia
depends
shooting
on how
is NA to this whole thing.
It's dependent on what angle some of these challenges are taking.
Yeah.
So that is.
I saw an interesting piece of the criminal code that talked about if there is a ban, if you're going to prohibit these firearms, it has to be because there's no hunting or sporting use for them, and they're more dangerous than the risk is too high. And I think that the interesting thing about that bit of legislation is that the AR-15s aren't used in mass murders and homicides in Canada. They're not. The perceived risk is very high. People see an AR-15 and they think that's a very dangerous thing, but the reality is that they are not.
Right, and that's all about it. That's all about education. However, where do they get that? Where do they get that from? So why do they think exactly? It's America. Yeah. These happen down in the U.S.
Yeah.
Wow. Or they've also. What? Go ahead.
Although the government doesn't want to be educated on the topic,
Absolutely not.
They know what the truth is, but they routinely lie to Canadians every day, and the average citizen, this doesn't affect them, so they don't care. They literally don't care. They don't want to be educated. This OIC thing,
I was told to go and
is going to stir up non-gun owning Canadians more than any other gun issue ever has, because of it's such a slap in the face of democracy. Yep. So,
I don't think I have any other news.
All right, let's bust some myths.
But I just went over them.
Oh, I thought that
you
were going to do more on the next thing. No, that's good. I thought you had a few more about the gun ban myths.
I want to know if the potato gun is actually on the list.
Can you do 10,000 joules with the potato gun or the bore?
No, but the bore.
Is it considered a firearm?
Firearm definition is a barrel that launches a projectile at over 500 feet per second. So if it launches the potato at over 500 feet per second and it's got a barrel, it's a firearm.
I think it should be our Slam-Fi Radio's gun of choice, the potato gun.
That's not too bad.
You can count the potato.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
Did you load the potato gun? I don't know. I can't count plus potato.
That's
2,
right.
3. I don't know how many I put in there.
Someone will have to load it for us.
I haven't had potatoes in so long. I want potatoes. Go.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. I have. Okay.
Okay. Let's get in. Let's do that. Let's do new gun stuff.
Durham Outdoors is selling some Chinese Tokarev 54s for $169. In these times of panic buying and U.S. dollar sucking, that's a pretty good price. That's a pretty good price. $169 for Chinese Tokarevs.
Yep.
I'm excited about the next thing.
SFRC is bringing in a large shipment of Troy PARs and SARs, which are all manually operated rifles.
Yep.
I kind of like that. I watched some video of the SAR. It's spring loaded. That's the thing that was kind of neat. So you pull back on it, you let go, and it loads itself again, which is
the no pricing.
Who has the one?
No dates.
There's a country that has one. It's gas operated. You pull the trigger, the gas sends the bolt carrier group to the rear, but it locks back, and then you hit a button and it goes forward.
UK. Yeah.
I mean, if I had to, right?
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing with this one is that at least it's spring loaded, so you pull it back and let go, and you're off to the next round. I actually, so I was kind of curious about those. I looked them up, and I found out that the PAR and the SAR both just using a standard AR-15 barrel. So if you had like a Gucci 16-inch barrel, and you're like, you could get one of these Troys.
Do have a Gucci.
Shoot it, and just be like, this Troy barrel is okay, but I kind of want to upgrade it. You take your Gucci AR barrel, you stick it on that thing. Accuracy 100.
Can I trade in my previous Troy AR and my other NEA NEA AR and just trade it in and get this one?
That'd be neat.
That'd be
a trade-in program,
which I've been told I should do. Just trade it in.
They send the PARs this away.
Just like Tracy said, how about just leave me and my rights alone?
That'd be neat too.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. We got 2
Alright.
votes.
Oh.
Is that it for new gun stuff, Adriel?
Yeah, the Spectre Ballistics LPC carbine is coming along. That's the light practical carbine. It's also a
Yes.
bolt action AR, which again, if you've got AR parts but no upper and lower receiver because you had to turn it in, that's going to be another option for what to do with all your parts.
Nice. Cool. All right. We got 2 main topics for you this week, guys. Let's jump right into them. Welcome to the first of 2 main topics tonight, everyone. Welcome to Rod Giltaca. Rod, welcome back to Slamfire.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you. And I got to say, man, I'm really grateful. You always make yourself available for our Lonely Old podcast over here. You're a super busy guy, more so now than ever before. And the fact that you take the time to come on and speak to our listeners means a lot to them, means a lot to us. So thank you. Really mean it. It's great to have you coming on.
I appreciate that. And, funny story before you get going is I just finished doing the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And in the podcast, because I've got a lot of requests recently to come on podcasts and shows and stuff like that, right? Like, media like ours, right? Like podcasts and your show. And I've declined all of them, right? So, and the reason is because I just, yeah, exactly. It was all for you. The reason is just because it's been so busy. Like, I can't do any more than I'm doing. Like my mind's like a baked potato, right? And so anyway, just in the podcast, I'm like, so all the people that are sending me these requests, I'm not turning you down for any reason. I'm not trying to ignore you. If I'm going to do media, I have to do mainstream media because we have to take every opportunity that we can get to get on there because they don't give us any chances. And then here I am, no sooner do I say that I'm on your podcast, but I've been with you guys like for years, right? Even before in the Civil Advantage days. So I don't know if you hit the jackpot or drew the short straw. I would think it's the latter.
No, definitely jackpot, man. I appreciate you making the time to be here, and your time is precious. So we're going to get right to it and let you get on with other important things. I asked you to come on this week to talk about CCFR's largest announcement to date. And tell me, Rod, does it fall under the category of never been done before?
No.
Okay.
Legal actions. I don't really. I'm going to preface this by saying I don't really know the right answer to that. So, in my knowledge,
because it's what we do. I mean, the CCFR is always breaking new ground in gun advocacy, and I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if this was another first done by the CCFR?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that a charter challenge around firearms hasn't been done, but I don't know that, right? Because it's not something we normally do. Mm-hmm. But there was an opportunity to do this, and I feel that we're the team to do it. We're not doing it ourselves. We're not putting our friends in positions to try this case, to take it to the Supreme Court. We've hired some of the most skilled litigators in Canada to do that for us. We got to come up with the money to do that. We're doing okay, but this is going to be a long haul. But as far as I know, the other cases that have to do with firearms that have gone to superior courts they're not on fundamental grounds like this. They're not charter challenges.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's start from the beginning then. What is it that we're doing? What is this big announcement specifically?
So we're going to take the federal government to court because we believe that they violated our rights under the charter, which is, I believe it's Section 7. And basically, in layman's terms, you have the right to liberty and security of person, and you have all these rights, and they shouldn't be unduly interfered with unless the government can provide a clear and reasonable justification to do that. And we don't believe that they did in this situation. And basically, they made a serious error, although it's not an error that they haven't made before. So we're going to go after them, take them to court. It'll probably end up in Supreme Court because usually charter complaints, even if they start provincial, they'll end up in the Supreme Court eventually. And we're hoping that it's precedent setting in that the government won't be able to, with a stroke of a pen, make the kinds of regulations that they made this time around.
So the precedent setting and the implications here are pretty phenomenal. What would be the most desirable outcome that we could achieve through this action?
Well, I'm not a lawyer. We have lawyers for that stuff, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. Plus, I had Mike Loberg on the CCFR radio podcast, which will probably go up tonight, if not tomorrow, because I'm exhausted. And and he's like, well, you don't really want to detail too much of your case before you file it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also proceeding on probably 4 or 5 or 6 different facets of what they did was inappropriate. So there's a lot of different implications to different things, not just the fact that they used the regulation inappropriately. So I guess the far-reaching effects would be, for practical purposes, let's say we were able to have the regulation struck down because it was used improperly. Well, basically, the government would have to say, well, let's do this. Well, we can't really do that because if you remember, CCFR versus, the government of Canada, we can't use regulations like that. And that would constrain them because, as you well know, government power needs to be constrained because people just can't be trusted.
Well said. Okay. Timelines. Where are we?
So I think there's a couple of different ways. Again, I'm not a lawyer. There's my third disclaimer. There's a couple of different ways that you can file against the government. You can do what's called an application, or you can do a statement of claim. So a statement of claim is kind of this long, drawn-out lawsuit. The statement of claim, again, I'm not an expert, but usually that has a monetary thing, like a class action or a statement of claim like that. It's usually like, we're suing the government for something, for this dollar figure because you've infringed upon me. And then you also get the advantage of getting precedent set in, written into the decision. Or you can do an application. So it's my understanding the application more is for, here we want the government to not do what they're doing and to reverse what they did because it was inappropriate. Again, precedent setting. So the statement of claim allows you to launch that and then provide more evidence later. It gives you a little bit more leeway. But the application takes a shorter time. It's not going to go on for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, but you have to have all your evidence up front. All that to say, we're still deciding which is going to be the most advantageous for us, but we may go the statement of claim side of it. So it could be filed in and around 2 weeks. Okay.
All right. And then, so we file in around 2 weeks and then we wait for a court date?
Well, a case like this, any case like
Hold
this
it.
is
You didn't start with, I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't really know what I'm talking about, but here's what I do know. I just, I'm taking this from memory from Mike and the other meetings we had. So, so what was the question?
You sound like a lawyer.
Exactly. Can you repeat the question, please?
Once we file, then we wait for a court date? Question mark?
Right. So the court date is a long ways away. So basically the process is you file this thing. Everyone has till a certain time to get their evidence in for discovery, right? You have to provide, the government will provide its case, we'll provide our case. And then there's a lot of procedural stuff, just like we have 2 other actions in process. And I'll tell you, I haven't seen another human being in part of these things. And some of these things have been going on for almost 6 months, right? So it's just a lot of paperwork back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
But what we plan to do is release that paperwork when it comes in to everybody so they can see the progress of the case in real time.
Very good. Okay, so this is expensive. We're taking on the federal government. The federal government has very, very deep pockets because they have their hand in all of Canada's pocket, right? They're using our tax dollars to fight the CCFR in court. So they have unreal resources because they have access to all of our tax money and dollars. So this is very expensive, but not insurmountable. People take the federal government to court and win, and it has happened, and it will continue to happen when they make mistakes and the law is on our side. So how do we fund this? What can people do to help start funneling money into the CCFR coffers to fight this fight, other than just simply go on mute there, Dave? You got a bunch of background noise. Other than renewing their memberships, what else can they do to help fund this?
So right now, like when we announced this, people started sending us money, which I really appreciate that. We didn't ask.
How do
for
they
money.
do that? How do they just send money?
Well, they can become a member or donate to the CCFR by going to firearmrights.ca.
Right. And there's like a donate link on our webpage.
You can donate money, or you can become a member on the webpage. Yeah. You can
Perfect.
also send us an EMT if you want. And EMTs actually are probably the best because no, we don't have to pay any fees on that. That money comes straight to us. And you can do that by sending an email to finance@firearmrights.ca.
Okay.
Now, what's really important, and this is, I mean, you watched the video that I released. And the video, I don't know, last time I looked at it had 105,000 views in 20 hours. So it really went out there. That was really great. But in the video, I went out of my way, and this is really important to me. I went out of my way not to ask for money because it's inappropriate to ask for money for a court case before it's filed.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let me do it.
So we did not ask for money, although a lot of people sent us money, and that money's all going to go to the case. And because we have to finance it, we already cut a check for the retainer, which was jaw-dropping. But anyway,
I'm sure.
When the case is filed, then I will come out to the community. I'll say, here's how you can help. And then we will actually have that into a segregated account, and all the money we got anyway, that's going to go into that account, but it'll go there. And then that'll be more appropriate to say we're fundraising specifically for the case.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I know that a lot of gun owners were saying, when are we going to sue or do something legally about this? And I think you guys stepping up and taking action on this was the right move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's right. It's been asked for a while.
It has, but you know, there's a lot of things I think that our community does to make our community feel better. And it's not about making us feel better. I mean, just like the rhetoric stuff, right? You know, people are always after me like, well, why don't you tell them we want concealed carry right now, or we're going to revolt and we're going to, set fire to government buildings. I'm like, I'm not saying that, like that'll make you feel better, but it's not going to get us any further ahead.
That's right.
I look at legal action the same way. You don't pick a fight with the government and blow. I mean, a case like this will be somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. You don't go all that way to lose, for one, and we're not going there to lose. We've got one of the best teams in the country, and we're going to pour resources into this, meaning that expert witnesses from across the country, from other countries maybe, whatever, we are bringing all that in. We are bringing the full weight of the firearms community to bear on what the government did to us. We're not going there just to throw a few affidavits in there and lose, and we're not doing it just to prove a point. We're doing it to actually try to win.
Of course. I mean, otherwise, like you said, you've said it before, members' dollars are sacred and they're not to be pissed away on frivolous projects. So we're not going to, raise this money, spend members' dollars because we don't think we're going to win, or we're doing it just to placate the people who, we should sue the bastards. All right, fine. We'll sue the bastards if it'll make you happy. No, we're doing it because we have the law on our side, and they've gone too far. And this is the response. Sue the bastards is finally the proper response, for real.
And we don't want to be a paper tiger either, right? No. A lot of people like to just yap. This, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then they don't do it. No. Or they do it half-ass and it just falls. That's not who the CCFR is, and it's not how we're going to run this case.
Awesome. All right, cool. Anything else, Rod, before we let you get on to saving our guns? No pressure. Well,
that's the tallest order of all, I think. But I think a lot of people want to know what our chances are. And, I had Mike Loberg come on to the podcast and kind of go through that. And when it comes to federal court, when it comes to any kind of court process, murderers walk free. Okay. So there's no, it's like, he was over the body, he had a knife and a gun, and there was a bullet hole and a stab mark in the person, and all right, and we got a picture of him.
Yeah, but he's like,
it was a crappy search. Sorry, we'll let 10 guilty people go free before we convict one innocent man. This kind of stuff. So there's no guarantee, and the government has a lot of tricks up their sleeve. They have a lot of influence, and to be honest with you, I don't have full faith in the altruism of the court system in Canada. But we do have a case. We do have an argument. And again, if it's doable, this team can do it. So I'm hoping for the best, but there's no promises.
Awesome. Well, we have faith in you and the team at the CCFR, and best of luck. And I hope the donations start pouring in. And when we get a little further along, I'd love to have you back to give us another update in between the real media interviews. If you can squeeze in another, 15, 20 minutes for us, that'd be fantastic, so we can keep everybody up to speed. And listeners, if you're not following the CCFR radio podcast, you really should be. There's a ton of content coming out now because of being in lockdown, and Rod, up until recently, having more time. So he's been producing a pile of episodes, and the back episodes are there, go except for number 1. Check out everything after that. And yeah, it's fantastic, and it's a great way to stay up to speed. So guys, you got anything for Rod before we say goodnight?
No, I just wanted to thank Rod as well. But what can anybody else do besides donating money? What are your recommendations with respect to this?
Well, if you have any kind of RCMP documentation, or you have any evidence you think would make from any activity that you've been doing yourself, oh yeah, I filed an ATIP and I've been sitting on this stuff, or oh, there was a decision I had, from the RCMP and they sent me this documentation or whatever. Go ahead and send it over to info@firearmrights.ca. And if you want to volunteer, that's fine. I don't usually mention that because I don't have any contact with what we do with volunteers. You guys do. Yeah. So other than that, support us if you think it's worth it, and we'll do our very best for you.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Rod. Have a good night, man.
Sorry. One
Sorry.
question just popped up on Facebook here news. I think it's a good question. Would we be able to get an injunction on the prohibition while the case goes forward, or is this like it'll be a while yet?
Well, I asked Mike about that today, and it was off air, and he doesn't think so. Mm-hmm. It's not that it couldn't happen, but it's the authority that they used. It is their authority to use that, and until this goes in front of a judge, maybe once the cases are filed, there's enough to say, hey, look, here's where there's a hole in this. I don't know. Then we can look at injunctive relief, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's something that's gonna happen, but at least nobody's knocking on your door right now. We have 2 years. It's torture not using our ARs and our other rifles for sure. But yeah, it doesn't look good.
Well, I could pull my parts off and leave them on the shelf. I'll be out an upper and a lower, and if and when we turn this thing over, I'll buy another upper and lower.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Thanks, Rod. Take care, man. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you very much, Rod. Keep up the good fight.
Thanks. Take care, guys.
Get some rest.
I'll try.
You sound good. So, everyone, this is Greg Delbridge. Greg Delbridge is a competition shooter, all-around nice guy, yoga guru. Well, not guru, but he goes to yoga classes, which is why he's so damn flexible getting in and out of his positions when he's shooting. And he is the Ontario Rifle Association match director for our service rifle program, and is also heavily involved with many of our other things, including our CQB program, and he is the webmaster as well and sits on the ORA council. So welcome to Slamfire Radio, Mr. Delbridge.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much.
Now you're a celebrity. You're Canadian famous.
Wow.
I know, right?
Awesome. I had to use my wife's Facebook account to listen to the last interview. So.
Okay, before
Chris
we
Watton
go forward,
and Andrew Darcy say hello, Greg. They're watching.
So before we go forward, has anybody ever said you look like Drew Carey? Just have to say it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Totally.
Now everybody that's watching is going to say that. Later. So
Good.
Now, svelte.
Yeah, you look like skinny Drew Carey. I've never said anything, but
okay.
Kelly said it.
Okay.
Your new nickname on the range is Drew, forever and ever.
Right.
Right,
So, Greg, service rifle. So you've been involved in the service rifle with the Ontario Rifle Association, I think about maybe a year longer than I have been?
Yeah, I've been shooting, I guess I've been shooting sort of competitively with the ORA, primarily service rifle, for about 12 years now, give or take. And then when the last match director, who ran it for many, many, many years, retired, I took over. So I guess this is my 4th year running it. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you get into? Well, first off, what is service shooting?
Service shooting. Well, it's basically. I'll explain it. It's kind of a broad topic, or big topic, or sort of big, but basically it's a dynamic kind of shooting sport. It's called service because we primarily sort of follow a military course of fire, and we do actually have some military units that participate in our matches in advance of training for their own national competitions. Fire and movement. It's basically fire and movement. You never sort of start your shooting in the position that you're going to shoot it from. The targetry is dynamic as well in that they're not static targets. You just don't lay on your belly, fire off 10 rounds on your own time over 10 minutes. Things are timed. The timings are very quick. The targetry is very quick as well. So, we do have a deliberate target where you have a whole 2 minutes to fire. And then we have snap targets where a target will just pop up for like a 3-second exposure and you have to shoot at it. We have rapid targets where they come up for 30 seconds and you have to put, there's 2, and you have to put 5 rounds on the left target, 5 rounds on the right. Then we have moving targets as well, where they come up and they basically walk from one bay to the next bay, and you have to fire at it while it's moving. So, like I said, it's sort of the same sort of military course of fire that they use for training. We use military ranges, we use military targets, and up until, I guess, last week, we typically used the civilian derivatives of sort of military firearms, primarily the AR-15.
What kind of ranges do you shoot? Like
ranges, distances? Yeah.
So how far? What distances?
Distances. So matches basically start at 100 yards and go back to 500. So we shoot at all distances, every 100-yard increments from 100 to 500.
Yeah, and you're shooting a different course or a different match at each range, correct?
Yeah. So each match is made up of a number of stages. So usually it starts off with a deliberate stage. That's sort of your, let's call it, relaxed 2 minutes to fire on your own time. And then we move into sort of multi-position shooting. So you could do, the next stage might be kneeling. It might be kneeling on a moving target, or it might be the next stage could be the rapid target. So basically, it's a combination. It's basically 5 stages per match at basically a given distance. And the final stage of that match at that distance involves the rundown, where we say our match starts at 200 yards. We do 4 stages there. And then on the very final exposure, you run to 100 and then fire the last stage from there. So that's how we sort of that's how the match is formed, except for the very last match, which is the 500-yard match. We have 1 stage at 5. You run, then the next stage is at 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. So it happens very quickly. So you're spending a lot of time running, and you have I think I've upped the timing, but it's about 90 seconds to run to the next stage and fire your exposure. Shoot at your exposure.
Greg, this whole sporting, this whole competition that you guys run, this service rifle, did it start as a military competition that civilians were invited to attend? Did it start as a civilian competition that military people were attend? Like, can you tell us a little bit about the history of it? Because
the history, sure. So the ORA has been around for about 153 years, I think, this year. So I think as long as there have been firearms, there have been competitions for marksmanship. So back in the day when the ORA started, it was actually to train marksmanship and teach marksmanship to the local militias, which were the individual farmers that were basically to protect Canada from the Americans coming up and over, right? So as time's gone on, the rifles that we've used have changed, from muskets to Lee Enfields and things. So basically, the military has always had their style of shooting. The different positions, the different ranges, things like that. And target rifles, the traditional sense of target rifles where you sort of lay down, shoot it around target, at a fixed distance. So those two things sort of moved in parallel for the longest of time, right? They would be muskets, Lee Enfields, Ross rifles, moving into the number 4, and then what happened is things started to diverge a little bit after sort of World War II, when sort of the firearms sort of changed. So up until, say, in the mid-40s, 50s, everyone was shooting number 4s. And sort of there was those two sort of streams. There was the dedicated target stream. Those were the guys who were making every modification they could just to get that little bit more accuracy out of number 4s. I had an older shooter tell me that he used to have a screw that he screwed right through the stock of his number 4 to adjust the tension. So depending on the humidity, he would adjust that for accuracy. So these guys, they're chasing accuracy. And then the other side, we had the sort of the military side of shooting the multi-position dynamic style. So they sort of grew. And then as more target, they were moving in parallel. But then what really changed is when the C1 came out, the semi-automatic, the target rifle side, and it's about the same time that sort of dedicated target rifles came in, like Musgraves and things like that. So that's where the things started diverging. So I guess the answer to your question is we've been doing it forever. The official sort of course of fire that we've been shooting or modification of it has been around since about the 70s. Very similar, timings have changed and things like that. They're modernized, but really it's primarily the same thing. It's been around since the 70s when sort of the Canadian forces went to the C1, and sort of that course of fire changed for a semi-automatic. That hopefully wasn't too rambly.
No, that was perfect. Did the ORA, were there people competing with the C1, like civilians competing with, I guess, the FN, FAL? Like, were they competing with the civilian equivalent back then?
Well, back then they would be competing with, because the original FNs and things didn't go prohib until I think the later 70s. So I guess in the early days they would have, competing with the civilians would be competing with the whatever one they could get. I know my father had an Australian L1A1 growing up. And even back then, when I was a kid, it was restricted, but he purposely bought it to shoot service rifle. So it was a converted auto, and he lost that in the first round of the second round of gun bans in the 90s.
But by then, I guess the Canadian military and civilian shooters alike would have moved over to the M16 and AR-15 style.
Yeah, exactly. So primarily when the AR, the AR-15, M16 sort of came online, it really is an ideal platform. It's reliable, it's accurate, and it doesn't kick your brains out. Firing 165 rounds out of a full power cartridge is rough on a person.
And expensive.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine shooting that much .308.
Yeah, honestly, up until the mid-ish to late 80s, the military actually provided ammunition for the ORA for competition.
Yeah, I heard of flights.
That. Yep. And
flights, you could actually catch a ride on a Herc if there was a one headed the way that your competition was going.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but yeah.
Somebody told me they used to catch a ride.
Yeah, I think yes. I mean, this is incorrect to say now.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. My father used to joke that the military and their sponsorship of competitions and service rifle was basically like a natural resource to be sort of exploited, I guess.
Jeez.
Well, kind of. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have like a semi-trained civilian group of marksmen that should push come to shove, and you have a World War III rolls around, like you've got a semi-trained populace that you can conscript.
That's where it started. That's where most of the provincial rifle associations and the national bodies got their start, just with that in mind. Because I think back then Canada didn't even have a standing army.
No,
and definitely not a reserve. No,
I'm actually holding up one of my medals, and the medal actually has dates from the 1800s around the edge, and that each of those was as a result of an action that the Ontario Rifle Association served in during the Fenian raids, the War of 1812, and a few other ones. So those are commemorated on our coins. So that's kind of cool.
Huh.
We don't get called up anymore, though.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So I mean, I guess the impact really with this latest round of prohibitions is that civilians won't be competing with current tech that the military will be. Not even current tech, because you can't really say that a competition AR-15 is the same thing as like a duty M16 or M4.
No.
Now, when you guys compete with the military, is that a military competition, or is that something that's run by the DCRA? Like, what's the big service rifle shoot at the end of the year where everyone gets to see whether the civvies are better shooters than the military are?
So the competitions we run, like I said, the ORA is the Provincial Rifle Association and DCRA is the national. Another schism that occurred was about 10 years ago, give or take. the military, and like I said, this course of fire that's been around since the 70s, and these things are more the same than different, right? The timings have changed and sort of the order of things have changed. But there was a bit of a schism back about 10 years ago where the military decided that they wanted more sort of situational shooting, more positions, faster stages, a faster match that not only required, your traditional marksmanship skills, but also the ability to get into position faster. Prior to that, service rifle, although the service rifle was a little slower, you had lots of time. You got, when you went prone, you got into prone, you wiggled into the ground, nice and comfortable. So where I was going with that is that the DCRA didn't support the military when the military changed their program and continued with that same course of fire from the 70s, which, and you're right, the national competition at the end of the year is called NSCC. Now, the Canadian military has their own competition. It used to be run in parallel with the NSCC, but it's now called CAFSAC.
CAFSAC. Yeah.
CAFSAC. Yeah, Canadian Armed Forces Small Arms Competition. Or CCFR, Canadian Forces. I can't remember which one it is. They changed the name recently as well. So the ORA decided 10 years ago because the local military units were using us as training for their national competition to follow that military course of fire. So the ORA has been using basically a modified version of the military competition for their matches. So NSCC, I guess that's the one where civilians and soldiers can shoot side by side, or CAFSAC is just for soldiers, and they can be. Well, you're seeing my little hoard of food back there. That's not
different episode to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So then that's where sort of the top Canadian Forces shooter is awarded every year. And one person who used to shoot with us won it 2 years ago, I believe.
Yep. And a lot of our shooters that came out, our military shooters, would come out, shoot our matches for the entire year, and then they go the units would do very well at CAFSAC, and some of the units that show up, I mean, they don't really practice like we do at competitions, doing competition shooting. And the units that came out to do our matches tended to do quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now that the AR-15s are banned,
what now?
What are you guys doing?
Slingshots, rocks,
Back to the M4.
There's
the Mark IV.
Yeah. So I just sent an email out today, to my group of guys to find out, what we can do. So, I mean, comes right down to, I'm sure I came in late on Rod's talk, but I sure that this ban is random in nature a bit. They went after the AR, and then they sort of went down and said, we don't like that. Oh, that's been used in a bad thing. Let's get rid of that. Sort of like, looking at all the drunk drivers pulled over last Friday night and banning those models of cars that they were driving because somehow that's going to make a difference. So, I mean, I know, everyone's all like, oh, we shouldn't tell them which ones are still allowed, but I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And as Dave pointed out, Google's very powerful. But there are still some semi-automatics, usually really expensive ones like Bushmaster ACRs, the WK-180s. There are still some, semi-automatics that could be shot. The reason everyone migrated to the AR was such a superior platform for this. I've been getting guys, I personally don't have anything other than a T97, which, and one of the Gen 1s, so I can't even put an optic on it, so not so great at 500. So I'm stuck. I'm looking to shoot this with my Mossberg MVP moving forward. So we're looking at sort of expanding it to bolt actions, but it's quite a game because I have someone who also said, I'm going to try it with my a lever and a Garand. So we're going to get quite a spectrum of people. So my struggle right now is to try to develop a program that's sort of like fun and also safe to be shot with such a variety of equipment while still sort of being competitive for everybody. So that's where it stands right now. So really, I don't know. I've been struggling with that sort of for the last week, what this year is going to look like. And of course, because of COVID-19, we haven't been on the range. Borden's, like, we use military ranges. We're very lucky that way. But of course, they're shut down for social distancing, and we're limited to 5 people now in Ontario, that kind of thing. So fingers crossed, things settle down, for the fall, and we can get back out and see what it's going to be like.
SKS is great. Just Switch to SKSs.
It's true. I mean, they're not great at 500 yards either.
True. We have had people bring them out, and they don't tend to do extremely well.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've had unfortunately some practical limitations. Is that, like I said, we use military ranges, it's their rules, and a lot of the non-NATO calibers are not approved for use on their ranges. So,
silly.
So it's a bit silly, but I can understand where the guy's job is to basically keep the range license up to date, and he looks at all these things and says, Canada Forces don't use any of these. Why are we doing this? So I can see it from his point of view as well. A little CYA there, but so hopefully we can get that relaxed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you were kind of mentioning there was that the AR-15 gave competitive equity. Anyone can buy an AR-15, put the scope or optic that they want to on there, run a good barrel, trigger. The competitive equity was very good with it, and the price was very good with it, because you can get into an AR for for $600. You will not find a non-restricted centerfire semi-automatic rifle for $600 that can do what an AR-15 can do.
Nope. It's true. You'd be hard to find any
options either.
Yeah, you'd be hard to find right now to buy any non-restricted semi-auto in Canada for any amount of money.
Yeah. There is a run on them right now, and if I put myself in the shoes of a service rifle shooter who'd been shooting for a long time, had an AR for this or 2 ARs for this, and is now stuck with what next? They're going to have to outlay a few $1,000s, while perfectly good guns for this competition are sitting in their safe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the thing. People just don't have, and people don't have that kind of money right now either, because we've got the whole COVID thing going on. So, and are they just going to prohibit whatever you buy? Because the OIAC said we'll just keep adding guns as long as you keep buying guns. So if I go drop $3,000 on an ACR, am I going to have it in 6 months? That's the other worry, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then have another $3,000 of capital locked up in a safe, waiting for the government to figure their stuff out.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. It sounds like you guys are going to keep ticking, but it's going to be a lot more random, a lot less competitive equity-wise, because not everyone can afford the $3,000 or more to get a competitive rifle anymore.
No, it's very true. Plus, even the I sent out to my guys as well. I don't know if it's really interesting. There's it's called Shoot to Live, and it's a Canadian Army training manual from 1945, and it's posted online, archive.org, and it's a little socially unacceptable now. Some of the stuff in there, but it just shows the fundamentals haven't changed. Yeah, it's true, but it's all teaching marksmanship and how to shoot the Enfield, like the number 4, and it's all off the elbows and things like that, right? Forming a truss, and so with the AR you could rest your mag, so you essentially had a monopod, so it was a very stable platform as well. So it'll be different. Like I said, different classes, that kind of thing. It'll have to be a bit of a reduced course of fire as well. You're not going to be able to go from, say, in 30 seconds from a standing position and drop down and fire 10 rounds with, get into a prone position and fire 10 rounds in 30 seconds anymore. So, but
it's a tall order for a bolt.
It is. So, hopefully things will change. Fingers crossed. But, sort of moving, at least for the next 2 years. Moving forward, we gotta keep something to keep shooting, keep getting on the range, keep doing the sport that we love. So yeah, so I was, depression is moving away after the week, but I'm just sort of looking for a way forward now. So I think it'll still be a fun game. I think people will still enjoy it.
Yeah, I think a lot of sports are going to have to change. I saw that Op Missile sent out, an Ontario multi-gun league sent out an email as well, that they're going to be doing shotgun and pistol this year, because 95% of the people that shoot that sport use an AR-15. Last year was AR-15s and handguns, so it's going to get more expensive. Yeah,
and the other biggest thing, which sort of, like I said, the ORA has been like partners with the local military units, especially on the service side of things, right? That it's going to be really tough to support those local units that rely on us to come to our matches, for their own practice. Because we'll have to develop a course of fire for, sort of the 1950s, or something that could be shot with the technology of the 50s, and these guys don't have that. So
AR is 1950s technology.
It's true. Yeah.
So I point that
we go out and help out with their matches as well sometimes. Yeah. The ORA's actually been invited in the past to go out and run military matches, or to assist the military in their matches, or even sometimes to shoot alongside the military in their matches. So see how all that goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad and frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. So...
Well, thanks again for coming on, Greg. Where can people find out more about the ORA?
So there's a website, OntarioRifleAssociation.ca. In there you can learn about the different disciplines. Like I said, service will be changing a little bit, but you can learn about target rifle, precision, Swiss, and we have for those members who we have a thing called sporting rifle, which is I used to refer to as service rifle light. It was basically shot at 100, 200, and 300 yards. Standing at 1, prone at 2 and 3, loads of time, no time stress at all. But basically, it was a deliberate snap and a moving match. So one shot kind of per exposure. So you did your deliberative 10, then a snap target, and it came up for a long time. You fire your one shot, and we do that 10 times, and then again the moving targets, because not often you get to shoot at moving targets, and that's pretty cool. Because that's the one thing I guess is a big difference about sort of a military range versus a civilian sort of gun club range. Normally, you put your targets up at the berm, at the backstop, and everyone moves to the firing point and shoot. On gallery ranges with butts, there's actually people at the targets operating the targets. So there's basically an earthen berm with a concrete mantling behind, and people stand in behind all that, and they raise the targets and lower them. So there's actually people operating them. So that adds a whole, opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities for different kind of targetry options. So,
and if you ever wanted to hear what a bullet sounds like when it goes by, it's really fun running down in the butts and just hearing gunshots going overhead. It's pretty damn cool. I really enjoy being down there running the targetry.
Yeah, surprisingly loud. I wear hearing protection in the butts because it's surprisingly snappy, because they're still going supersonic when they go over top of your head. Granted, 10 feet up in the air, but it's over top of you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah. It's a great sport. So I'm looking forward to continuing it in whatever form we do going forward.
And they're the targets are on sticks, and you put them up. And the really good shooters, of course, shoot the center of the target out, which is exactly where the top of the stick is. So it just sort of rains down splinters on you. But yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, in terms of scale of targets.
Yeah, do you have some examples there?
I do. This is a figure 12 target. So we would shoot this target this size of this backer from basically 400 yards and forward. And then this target, the distant difference is the scoring range sort of changes size. And then at 500, this is mounted to basically a 4 foot square chloroplast backer. And then we use these ones all the way down from 400 yards down to 100. And then the figure 11, this one's a little shot up, but basically a full height version. So it's got a top and a bottom, so you can see. And this is primarily the target that we're going to use for the movers. So basically the target will pop up and then walk from one shooting position to the next shooting position. So
it's about what, 6 feet, 8 feet, something like that?
It's 6
steps. Long steps.
So I would say that's more like 10 feet. Yeah, it's 6 second exposure, and you sort of take 6 sort of long paces. Yeah.
And how are the targets scored, Greg? Like with the figure 11 there, I'm going to make you get up again.
Oh, well, I'm going to grab the 12 since you can actually see that. So this one here, I don't know if you can see sort of I've hand drawn the V on this one. Yeah. Right. So they're scored basically V54. in terms of rings. So as long as you're on the 18 inch, like I said, this scoring circle gets larger and smaller for the different distances that we have. And additional rings sort of show up for the deliberate. So it becomes V5, 4, 3, but that's basically how they're scored. So the center is right in the chin.
And what's the meaning of the V-bowl?
V-bowl? So I said, 5 and 4. So what a V-bowl does is it's scored as a 5, but it breaks ties. So if someone has the same, let's say they have a perfect, basically the 10 shots with 5 would be a 50. So we score it 50 point how many V-bowls you have. So a 50.8 would win relative to a 50.6, for example. But again, a 50.6 would beat a 49.8. Right? So it's really just there to break ties. This is your 5 ring. Yep. This is your 4 ring.
How many V's you got? Nice.
Yeah. I think that was sort of a more recent addition, wasn't the V-bowl? I remember guys telling me the old targets, there were no V-bowls, but people just got so freaking good that they had to add them.
They've been around for at least as long as I've been around. So 12 years or so. Yeah.
Nice. Figure 11s are scored similarly?
Very similar.
Bigger targets?
Well, they're bigger, but they're not any wider. So when you think about basically we use this for the moving exposure, you only ever have the same width, right? Yeah. But basically you can mark them any way we do, but the first 2 boxes for us are V and then 5 and then 4. So yeah, it's if you happen to drop a shot, as in not miss your target, your score drops pretty quick, right? So
yep.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions around equipment or any or?
No,
yeah. What sort of?
Well, we've kind of had we've gone over service rifle before. It was I think the really interesting part to kind of hear from you was the history of it and a little bit more about what you guys are doing based on this ban, because I think that's what people are really interested in right now is if they really liked service rifle or if they just wanted to go and they had an AR they were building and now they're stuck without it. What's the way going forward?
Yeah,
I think you've said bring what you got. I think that's roughly what you're saying there.
Yeah. We're going to try it with a bring what you got kind of model and see where that goes. Like I said, it will be for the first little while anyway. It'll be the learning curve. But the key is to sort of make something that's relevant, that makes sense, but also safe, right? Because I said on the rundowns, running down with a bolt action, that's with the bolt open is a little bit different than running down with a closed action of a semi kind of thing. So it's we'll figure it out. We'll come up with something.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
No problem.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Good luck.
Hey, thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd go from a range of like a bunch of guys running ARs to a bunch of guys running, I don't know, SKSs, SVTs, WKs, just like everything. Like it's so incredibly difficult to try to keep safety and equity going.
Well, imagine IPSC, Adriel, if I had this and you had a Shadow 2. I'm holding up a revolver.
Yep.
It just, so
same thing would happen.
The AR was the great equalizer, and they were used because they were the best gun for that game, and they were the most affordable gun for that game.
Yep.
So either you switch everybody over to the same platform, or
make different classes. Maybe.
Yeah,
definitely different.
That's what IPSC did. Then it's diluted with 3 people per class.
I know.
Yeah, we have the issue with classes, but for me, like I said, there's a range safety officer. They give all of the range commands, for inspection, clear rifles, and all the commands are the same. So coming up with a list of commands, even to show how something is safe, whether it's bolt out, whether it's, chamber flag, whether it's, from a bolt action perspective, and then how do I do that with a lever gun? Things like that. So that's what I'm really struggling with right now is to basically make a standard that will apply to all. As I said, even with the example with the IPSC versus the revolver versus the
Shadow 2
automatic, right? Like you I have to make one clear command, because that's one thing on the range is it is controlled by the firing point officer, range safety officer. They're given the instructions, which is very militaristic, right? To be given the instruction to engage, to stop in this time, so it's a very controlled firing point.
And unlike most other sports, we have a bunch of people all shooting on the line at the same time. So it's not like IPSC where you have one person running and one range safety officer. You may have 10 shooters and one range safety officer running the line.
Yeah, I have some pictures. I don't know how I can show them, like electronic photographs, but
well, if you send them to slamfireradio@gmail.com, I'll make sure to add them into the show notes for today's show.
Sure.
Awesome.
There's a true service conditions picture. Our last, let's call it service rifle match, was the last November when the temperature tanked to minus 25 and it snowed. So Dave took some great pictures of us all laying in the snow, and it was cold. So that would be the last one. Yeah.
The last real one, maybe for a while anyway.
For a little while anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
One of my military buddies said, "Well, come sign up. We'll give you a rifle, and you can maybe go shoot service rifle."
So maybe what we'll do, Greg, is we'll call it a wrap for tonight. Sure. We'll have you back on when you guys get up and running, and you can come back and tell us what you're doing and how you've adapted. In case there are listeners that want to come out and try it, they'll know where you guys are at.
Yeah,
sure thing.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Greg.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks again to Rod and Greg, both very informative, and looking forward to getting updates from both of those guys in the future as well. Let's get into listener feedback. Listener feedback is sponsored by Armory DC Gunsmith. Armory DC Gunsmith is a full-service gunsmith who specializes in firearms refinishing. He offers hot bluing, parkerizing, and Cerakote finishes, as well as wood refinishing. Check out his online inventory of new and used guns, firearms, accessories, optics, and more at dcgunsmith.ca. Vortex order just arrived, actually, with more on the way. You can follow DC Gunsmith on the Facebooks and on the Instagram. This first one comes to us from Spencer. Dave, have you ever read a Spencer email?
Well, Dave left.
Oh, nice.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here, man. All right, go ahead, Kelly.
Ah, geez. Okay. Hey, guys. It doesn't seem all that long ago I emailed to congratulate CCR hosts on getting the long gun registry removed. For a good while, it seemed like things in Canada were moving in the right direction, or at least not going backwards. One thing to be proud of, though, is how low they had to sink to actually accomplish the gun grab. I'd say it's testimony to the work that group of like CCFR and shows like Slamfire have done in educating the public and holding the media to account. It's obviously the Liberals felt they couldn't get what they wanted if they had to go through the proper route. It seems that even with other Liberal parties on their side, they obviously couldn't be sure they could actually pass this kind of sweeping gun bill. Just hold on a second, go down. So instead, they used the blood of innocent victims as an excuse, to pass a flat decree during a global pandemic. A flat decree, it should be decree. Even non-gun owners in Canada have to be concerned about the precedent this sets. It also should stir up some real concern about the abuse of these OICs and maybe bring a discussion on how to restrict them to their proper role. As you mentioned, though, you have 2 years and an election to try and reverse this. And once the budgetary aspects become clear, you should have a lot more political support. Keep up the great work, and the microcasts are appreciated, Spencer.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer.
Any comments on that before we get to Trevor B?
Nope.
No,
All right,
I mean,
from Trevor.
I agree, yeah.
Okay. From Trevor B., Public Safety Minister Bill Blair breezily declared that the banned rifles are not used for hunting shortly before Justice Minister David Lametti announced that there would be exemptions from the ban for some Indigenous communities where the rifles are needed for hunting. So that was odd. Someone should arrange a protest with as many Indigenous shooters that have the banned rifles. Under Section 35, I believe that they are exempt from this BS law unless it only applies for hunting. When the police arrive on the range, they can present their Stas card and tell them to piss off. Well, the word hunting was used, but you got to sight in your hunting rifle somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not very well thought out. I guess these rifles, as Trudeau put it, have no other purpose than to kill the maximum amount of people in the shortest amount of time. That comment was with regards to the AR-15 specifically. So no, that doesn't apply here.
I disagree. I think it applies to AR-10s as well. What's the difference?
I thought that comment was for assault weapons.
Okay, right? AR-10s are assault weapons under this
according
ban.
to him, yeah. So
are MP22s.
Sorry for the rant. I'm sure you've had enough of it lately. Heard enough of it lately. Love the show. Yep, we hear lots of ranting, but that's okay. It's people need to vent right now. They're frustrated, and as long as your emails are appropriate, vent away, man. Send them in. We're here to listen.
Yep.
If you would like to rant and rave, you can do so by sending an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Podcast reviews. This one came to us from Nick. And it says, the title is Great Content for Canadian Shooters, the review. This podcast has lots of great content. The episodes are well structured and current. Great education and great entertainment about firearms, shooting, and shooting sports for Canadians. Thank you, Nick. We also have a new Patreon-y. Thank you for picking up my slack and putting this in. I believe, Kelly, you did this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's from Andrew D. He's pledging $8, which is an awesome amount. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, you'll get a patch in the mail. And if you haven't received your stuff lately, send us an email, and Adriel will... we'll check, but I think we're up to date, aren't we, Adriel, and all that?
I got 3 to send out now.
3 to send out. Cool. Yep. So you can check us out on Patreon by going to patreon.com/Slamfire Radio. You could support the show for as little as $1 a month or $8 or whatever you want, and cancel at any time. And by doing that, it helps fund the show, and we really appreciate it. And are always talking in the background about ways to incentivize our program by coming up with extra things for the Patreonies. So, shout outs, anyone? Adriel?
No, I mean, a lot of people have been putting in a lot of work, doing a lot of important things. And I've been trying to push the stuff as much as I can.
Yep.
So you're shouting out yourself.
No,
that's cool.
I'm shouting out other people who I am then pushing.
Funnier my way.
It is.
All right, good.
So, if I could shout anyone out, it would be the hunting gear guy. He's doing a bang-up job of this right now.
Is he ever? Yeah. He's my
Fantastic.
favorite. Yeah.
He's been putting out lots of content on...
All right, shut up. Kelly has an actual shout-out that's way more important than you're saying right now. No,
I'm nonsense. That's it.
No,
okay.
Nonsensing. Kelly?
So I would like to give a personal shout out to Michael Loberg, who is taking up. He's going to be the person as on one of the counselors. He is going to be presenting this to the courts for us.
Quarterbacking it. Yep.
Right. CCFR, everybody, Rod for coming on tonight, Tracy. As I said, they haven't gotten any sleep lately. All the CCFR field officers, as well as some of the other gun organizations as well. And Mandolin Mayhew, thank you for the fantastic gear and all the swag. Like, I got a crap ton of swag. Just saying. Thanks.
Cool. All right. I got a shout out. Is it a shout out? I don't know if it's a shout out or one of those I don't know. I can't come up with a fancy word for it. To the listeners who were not impressed with my rant, one of the COVID episodes I was on, I was running hot. And if you were insulted, by my comments about government workers or people with liberal arts degrees. Keep in mind that I am a government worker with a liberal arts degree, but I was
Me too.
I was tearing it up pretty good. So anyway,
So I'm the
sorry
only
if
one
I-
who does any real work around here. These two just
Yep.
slack.
AA drill.
exactly. Yeah.
Shut up.
But to be fair, I did say whoever came up with the way of making that system convoluted, that took some effort and some work. So maybe that applies to you. I don't know. Maybe you're good at making things hard. It takes a skill. Anyway, I'm just pissed off all the time, and that's the way it is. And I say some shit. And I'd like to tell you, if you don't like it, go listen somewhere else. But that wouldn't be very positive. That wouldn't be very nice. But yeah, I'll try to be a bit more or less pissed off.
We appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, what she said.
Still.
I don't, because you gave me shit. I don't appreciate it, even though you were right. I'll try and be more. Fuck you. I'm just gonna be myself.
There you go.
It's because you care. It is. You actually do care.
Whatever. Good night,
you're so
everyone.
Wait. Do the other stuff. Reach
Oh.
out to your city councilor. That's
Yeah,
my
do
plug.
that.
Reach
Yeah.
out to your city councilor now. Talk about municipal handgun bans. Otherwise, you're hooped.
Yes, and join the CCFR. If you haven't, please do. Renew if you need to renew. Send a donation. The CCFR also has a Patreon account. So, rather like you'd like to give them $100, you don't have it all at once. Sign up for Patreon, man, and they'll get
Yeah, that's a good idea.
just a little bit off your credit card once a month. You're not even going to notice it.
Or
You
just
know?
do the EMT because Patreon
Mhm.
takes a crap ton off the top.
Oh, that's true too. But it's just
EMT
not.
is like direct, 100%.
All right, so send
And
one
you
EMT a day for 100 days for the price of a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Yeah, I was hoping you'd go there.
I was trying, yeah. Yeah. So and then check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. And I'm taking that out of there. That's a completely useless thing. No one checks us out on Gun Owners of Canada.
Oh,
do?
there's some. Yeah, there is some right now.
We're gonna get some
because
hate posts just
we-
because you said
Perfect. Good.
We got a couple. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just saying.
All right.
that.
Kelly,
Yeah, more.
Kelly, you do a great job at maintaining our Gun Owners of Canada.
You mean
And more.
You mean the
She does a lot
totally
more than that, too.
useless? Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, for a government
actually-
bureaucrat with an arts degree, Kelly, you're not half
Not-
bad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Likes on Facebook, we're up to 2,447. And the counselor thing. Anything else, guys, that I forgot that you'd like to add? All right.
Doing a great job. Love
Yeah.
your shirt.
Yeah.
Fuck you too.
So if you have any comments or questions for the show, please send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. Now go grab a gun and shoot something.
When the talking is over, it's time to get a gun.